This episode of Around the Grounds with Chocco is brought to you by Central Murray Live, 1332 3SH and 107.7 Mix FM. Welcome to Around the Grounds with Chocco, and I am extremely excited to have an interview with this bloke, someone that I watched growing up, and I think a lot of people I've spoken to during this journey have mentioned his name. And, I talk of the truly one and only Dean Bennett. Pov, welcome, mate.
Thanks, Chocco. Took me a while to get around this computer, mate, but I'm here.
Well, mate, it's great to have you, and I'm sure the family will be giving you some help. But, mate, let's talk football. It all started back with the North Maggies back in 1980, mate. Why the North Maggies?
We first moved to Swan Hill in 1980, and I really don't know why. Actually, I think my friends were my parents were family friends with the Smiths, which were Lake Boga, and their boys were playing in the North Magpies. So that's how I ended up playing with the North Maggies, mate. So yeah,
mate. What was the change? Like, talk about junior football now compared to back then. What was junior football back then? Was it everything that people wanted to do? What tell us a bit about footy back then.
Oh well, footy was everything back then, mate. But you lived week for week for it. I suppose much like the kids today do too. I suppose, but we've all seen a bit of change over the years. When you look at it now compared to back then. But yeah, no, look, we just lived and breathed footy back then. We were little whippersnappers, but it was a good experience.
Now, mate, 1986, you made the journey to Swan Hill, which ended up being your home. Tell us a bit about your time back at Swan Hill as a young fella. You played Colts. Who were the players you looked up to growing up as a young fella, and what inspired you to play senior football, particularly at the Swan Hill Footy Club?
I looked up guys. I looked up to when we had some awesome footballers at Swan Hill in the senior ranks in Steph Foot, Vince Foot, Vinnie Dullard, and they were going through a fairly successful period too. So. And I guess they were good people to be around. They set great examples, and of course, when you're coming through the culture, I suppose every kid aspires to play senior footy. And I was very fortunate to have such a great group of guys around. In our side, which quite a few of us went on to play senior footy. Especially our first senior premiership together, actually. I think it was in 1988. So,
yeah,
there was nine.
You said
nine
that.
Yeah.
So you all gathered. You basically came through the ranks, and you started off in '86, and you got a senior premiership in '88. Can you tell us a bit about that first feeling of senior success in '88?
Oh, it was awesome, to be honest. There was, as I said, mate, there was 9, I think, that we came out of our Colts winning premiership side the year before. But yeah, no, look, I mean, it was an awesome experience to be able to do that. And I guess when you look back a little bit now too, that you think, did we take it for granted? Sometimes you sort of think, well, it just happens. But as we all know, grand finals don't just happen. Very hard to win, of course. But it was, I was stoked to run around with the Steph Foots and the Vince Foots and the Vin Dullards, and great friends today. You know, like hold those friendships forever. So, and there's a fair age gap.
Is it something that the club really puts pride into, making sure that they keep a core group of players together for a long period of time? I think Swan Hill's really been renowned to keeping that core group of players. Is that something that is entrenched in the club? Like, you know, it's just something that not many clubs you hear of do these days.
No, look, that's well, especially, that was a very important part of our footy club. You know, to keep, you know, and then you look at years later on, you know, the Huey Foots and the Cal Beesies. You know, you can build sides around those two guys. I mean, they were awesome footballers, and they dragged kids along. You know, they were inspirational. So, you know, and back through my era, we had probably still at least 5 of that 9 that played off in that first '88 senior grand final. So you can build a side around that, and generally with your juniors, you know, if you can pick up 2 or 3 out of your Colts every year, well, you know, you're in good stead. And I think that's why we probably played off in quite a few grand finals. Was on the back of the core group.
Now, you took on a coaching gig, mate. You coached Swan Hill between 94 to 96, including the 95 premiership. Was there a reason why you took on coaching? Was it something that you were passionate to do? What made you take up the role, Pov?
Yeah, well, I was probably assistant coach to Vince in, I think it was 93. And I thought, oh, yeah, I wouldn't mind giving this a go. So I did. I wouldn't say it was a good one, mate, but, I had a go at it. So, and enjoyed it. So it's an awesome feeling to actually coach a grand final. We had a couple of losses, 2 losses in there, which wasn't great. But, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Yeah.
And 95, mate, as a coach, was it different having that success as a coach and a player compared to having that success as a player in 91 and 88?
Yeah, it is. It is, because, I mean, there's a fair bit more goes into it, mate, as you would understand. But I was very fortunate. I had probably I had great support, you know, with Steph Foot. He was my chairman of selectors, and he was a fantastic coach that I actually played under. And he was awesome for me to be sitting on the sidelines, sort of guiding the ship. So I was very fortunate. But yeah, the feeling is, it's great to win a grand final. You get to spend it with all your mates, and you never forget those memories. But to actually coach one, it's a pretty good feeling.
Now, I know you probably get this question asked a lot, but you know, you played Vic Country, you've won prestige awards. Was the opportunity to play in the VFL or AFL back then an opportunity for yourself? Or was that something that just country football was number one priority at the time?
Oh, I would have gone, Chocco, but no one came knocking, mate. I think I was too slow. But I did get a call, I think it might have been 91, I think, from Hawthorn, but I'd missed the draft. I never ever actually nominated for the draft. I don't know why, but I don't know. It was, it's just one of those times, mate. I probably dropped the ball, but as I said, mate, I would have been caught up with pretty quickly down there, mate.
Caught up there. But, mate, you played over 300 games. You spent a bit of time at Birchip. Tell us a bit about your time at Birchip and what the reasoning behind that was. Like, you only spent time at 2 clubs. That was at Birchip and Swan Hill, and had success at Birchip. Why Birchip? What attracted you to go to Birchip?
Vince Foot had been over there, and I guess and Gatto prior to that, and I knew Vince's father-in-law, Brian Hogan. And that was, they came and saw me, and I got to that stage in I think it was 97, and I thought, I wouldn't mind just throwing the hat in the ring to coach for a couple of years, which I did. But the second year turned pretty ordinary. I dislocated a foot, so I was gone from about round 14. So and then of course had another year off footy, and I'm back there for the flag in, I think it was 2001. Yeah, so but not as coach. It was under Trevor Ryan.
Yeah. So you've had success basically wherever you went, mate. But I want to go back to 92 and 94, mate. Jack's Betts medal, for people that don't know, is the league best and fairest in the mid-Murray back then, mate.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about that time and what it felt to be a Jack Betts medalist.
Oh, look, it's an enormous individual award, really. And they're not, I guess they're not something that you play for. It's it's just something that comes along if you put the work in, and the umpires like what they see, I suppose. But I was very proud to have won a couple of those. The great man Jack Betts, so it was awesome.
Man, you went on to win a Feeney medal, mate, as well in the North Central too. So umpires must have loved you right across the board, because you attracted a fair few votes.
Yeah, look, that was my first year too, so it was more about just getting things right over there, mate. It just that's just the way it turned out. I had not a bad year, and I was fortunate enough to win the Feeney medal. So
8 BNFs at Swan Hill, mate. That would have been a great privilege to be a part of. So many great names you mentioned. Where does that sit highly in terms of, is that the record for the number of BNFs at Swan Hill?
I think so, mate. I think Pooley, Robin Poole, a great footballer and great stalwart of our footy club. I think he might have had 6. But then again, you got to remember Pooley went down to Melbourne, to North Melbourne for a few years too. So, I guess regardless of the number, mate, it's an honour, I guess, to have your name up on the board at such a great footy club.
Now, I want to, as a what do you see different now in the current game, Pov, compared to back when you're playing? Like, you sit back now on the sidelines, you've had a wealth of experience. Do you see some really strong differences between now and then in terms of the way the game's been played?
Oh, I think it was a lot simpler back in our day, Chocco. I guess there's a lot more professionalism today. Game is differently, or it's played differently. So there is. It was a bit more one-on-one, I thought, back in our day. Whereas there's a lot more zoning, and and to their credit, but and I always thought, well, how can they do that when we're not professional footballers? But to their credit, the coaches get it pretty right, and it's good to watch. It's exciting footy to watch. So but back in our day, it was more of a one-on-one contest, and
And what do you see, at junior football, and how you see it evolving compared to back, when you're a kid growing up? I had to work real hard back then to get games. What advice would you give most juniors these days coming through the ranks? And I know you've done some junior coaching yourself and going to be involved, but what advice do you give the younger ones coming through now, Pop?
Live with a footy in your hand. It's quite interesting, that one, mate. I did a little bit I gave the under-12s a bit of a hand a few years back, and I asked a couple of kids, I said, how often do you touch the footy? And they said, oh, only when we come to training, which surprised me because, I mean, you know, we never had it. We were never without a footy, you know. So, but, you know, and the programs today are fantastic, you know, with what you've set up with. Well, we never had Auskick back in our day, which is a great starting point. And then you get onto the academy, which I think is fantastic because seeing the under-15 schoolboys that I was involved with, Jamie and Wes, you know, we used to get down there and we were a little bit overwhelmed in some stages. But I think the programs that you've got in place now are certainly helping, and obviously their pathway to footy is much better. You know, so they're a little bit more prepared once they get to the TAC or anything like that. So it's given them every chance.
Now, I briefly touched on it before, representative footy. You spent 2 years doing Vic Country, but prior to that, you would have had to play interleague footy. What did interleague football mean to you? I know you're a player, you're a coach, but what did it mean to you to be involved at that level of football?
Oh, look, we had a ball, mate. We and I saw Gatto's the other night too, and he was an integral part of that. But yeah, look, they were fantastic years, Choc. You know, as he said, we got to play nearly 4 games every year, so we were basically. Well, we were training 4 times a week, 2 with our club and 2 with the Central Murray, and that used to run nearly through to August. And we had quite a bit of a success, but we were pretty well homegrown too. And that was a good thing. It was just like another team. It was just like you were playing for another footy club within, you know, your own league. So we had some great times within a league, and it's pretty hard to try and talk to guys today to say what it was like, but we really embraced it, and we wanted to put our league on the map, you know. So,
was there any fond memories that stand out amongst the lot within a league? Like, obviously, it was the prestige of playing for and representing your league and playing with some players, but are there some players that you just sat back and just went, "Geez, I'm so lucky to be either rubbing shoulders or playing against these blokes"?
Yeah, for sure. Look, just playing with the guys that I did. That usually you're running out against through the season, like the Glennie Fitzpatricks and the Par Walls and the Trevor Ryans. And Muddy O'Mara. You know, there was so many good footballers in this league, and it was just great to get everyone there. The trainings were awesome. You know, the ball was never off never on the deck. It was lace up, and we had some great trips away too. The bus trips were awesome.
Well, and that's where the memories probably started, and that camaraderie amongst the playing group. It's probably something that's probably forgotten about in this day and age of football. You reckon, Paul, that off-field camaraderie amongst teammates?
Oh, definitely, yeah. And look, we made good friends. It was, and we'd usually catch up on a Saturday night, after our normal home and aways, and we'd have a beer, like it was. They were awesome times, and made some great friendships out of it.
Now, mate, 2005. Talk about that. You retired after the 2005 season, but that premiership in 2005, mate, tell us a bit about it. It was fascinating for a number of people, including the club. But tell us a bit about that season and what made that decision to go, I'm going to end on a high.
Look, it was. Well, I was 35, mate. I knew my time was coming. The first time I reckon I've ever started on the bench, mate, and that was in the grand final. But you know what? I was super happy just to be involved. And, mate, my knee was starting to really play up, and I thought, well, what better way to finish off than, to to go out on a premiership. And there was a few young guys that I'd coached, like Lockie Beasy, who was our captain, and Ant Foote. And I just thought, well, look, it's great to see these guys taking over. Well, it's sort of sit back and take an armchair ride, you know. So, but it was an awesome year, really, because I suppose it was an end of my career, but you know, these guys still had a fair bit of footy left in them. So, but it was a great year. I really enjoyed it, and coached very well by Jeff Brennan.
Yeah, it was coached by Jeff. It was one of the few years that Jeff was involved at the club. But out of all the grand finals, all the matches you played, Pob, is there one that stands out more than others that sits at the front of the mind?
Oh, look, they're all good in their own right. Gee, you know, from your first 91, mate, we snuck into the finals. We played Balranald up at Balranald with Jimmy, Jess, and the boys, and look, we got beaten, and we snuck into the 4 by about 2%, mate. And I think we went through and won nearly every game, other than the first final, by 10 goals. Or the biggest underdogs. I guess there was a lot of satisfaction in that one. That was coached by Bundy. So, but look, they've all got special, you know, meanings, and yeah, I enjoyed them all. I'd hate to pick one over the other, mate, but yeah.
Now, your family's involved in the club. Your wife Christy, your kids Remy and Ali and Will. How much do you find pleasure now sitting back and watching them, you know, wear the maroon and white with pride and see that family history is, or, you know, it's starting to create its own history? How does that feel as a parent watching that from the sidelines?
Yeah, it's great. I'm not the greatest watcher of netballer, mate. I don't understand the rules, but look, I do enjoy watching them play. And I probably watch more of Will than I do of the girls, which I probably need to get over the netball courts more. But yeah, no, look, it's great, you know. And that's what clubs need. They need the next generation coming through, and you know, and that's what keeps a club pretty well gelled together, mate. Is the families build footy clubs, you know, and if we can harness that, which they were pretty lucky to do over probably a 20-year period, and probably goes back further, mate. But to have those families keep coming through. Yeah, it leaves your footy club in good stead, mate. So,
and Swan Hill have been, and we mentioned it before, but they've really been renowned for that family environment. You know, they're one of so many clubs that are battle with players to try recruit and retain in the Swan Hill region, but it is something that they really, really focus on in creating that family environment, don't they?
Well, yeah, we do, mate. It's interesting. I guess if you look back, my brother-in-law, for one, you know, we recruited him from Skipton, or out of Ballarat, basically, in 91. Well, he basically played his whole career at Swan Hill. So look at Xavier Maloney. I mean, you can only imagine, you know, how many offers that he would have had in his playing career thus far. And he's stayed, and I absolutely take my hat off to guys like Zave and Wadey, like, you know, probably two of the best footballers I've seen at our footy club, and they're still with us, which is, you know, we must be doing something right to have quality, good people stay at our footy club. So yeah.
And your involvement, mate, you're doing a bit of junior coaching at the moment and passing on that knowledge, but it's really important to get that camaraderie, particularly at junior level, and helping the kids come through. do you enjoy coaching the juniors, or do you prefer to focus on the seniors, mate?
No, look, well, mate, to be honest, obviously because of work commitments, I hadn't done much in the way of our own juniors, other than this year I said to Cal Beasy I'd help him out with the 14. So that was my big gig this year, mate, but we haven't got off the ground yet, so which I was really looking forward to. But, yeah.
Well, you'll have to put the queue in the rack, mate, for next year because, as we all know, football's but look, there may be something happening down the lines. Who knows? But
we'd only hope. Yeah.
Now, Pov, I'm just going to finish on this note. Is there anything you look back at your career and you think maybe I should have done this differently or tried this, or do you think that your career sums up? There has to be something that you think, or maybe I should have done something differently.
Oh, I guess we all have those little regrets, Chocco, but I wasn't, you look at the young blokes in their recovery today and I think, gee, our recovery was a lot different to that. So I'm just sort of wondering whether I might have prolonged my career a bit more, mate, than had I gone down the path the young blokes are doing today. So.
Well, mate, I don't think your recovery was too bad because you've got a resume that I think anyone would stack up and want. So you've done something right. But, mate, an absolute pleasure to chat with you today. I know you, in the eyes of many football followers in the region, mate, you're definitely highly rated in terms of your football career. You're an absolute stalwart and done a lot for the league and the community and the club. And, mate, pleasure to have a chat with you today, mate, and well done on a fantastic career. And I look forward to seeing you coaching the juniors next year, mate.
No worries, mate, and thank you, Chocco. It's been great to listen to your around the grounds, and just in this time when there's no footy about, and I hope everyone's going well. And look, it's been a strange time for everyone, but
Mate.
mate.
Thanks, Pov. Appreciate it.